usually when I do these later night things, before I get to the limericks, which I like to wait until the kids are asleep, and they're not asleep yet, I like to read some other stuff. And the last couple of times I've read comic books, well, comic book readers from when I was a kid. But tonight I'm going to do something a little bit different. Tonight I have some books that, well, actually I have a copy of the Necronomicon, but I'm not going to read that unless somebody really wants me to. But I have some books that we've gotten for the children that are an entire Green Lantern shelf. Oh, there are multiple Green Lantern shelves. Let's see. I don't know so there are 2 Green Lantern shelves, and then above that there are 2 more, actually. Yeah, lots and lots of... We look at toys on Figure Fridays. You guys don't have a copy of the Necronomicon in your house? What? But what I do have for the kids are multiple books of ABCs that are cool themes. So we've got Monster ABCs, C's for Cthulhu, and Baby's First Mythos. Now, I will say, let it be known to everybody who is watching, H.P. Lovecraft, while we like the content that he made, most of it, and we like what other people have done with it, he was a piece of shit. Fuck that guy. Okay? We don't say his name anymore. Yes. He bad human being. But we like his content. We like that other people have taken his content and done better things with it. So that's where we stand. So we're going to look at these because these are super cute and adorable. And also we have Where the Deep Ones Are. Because of course, yeah, I mean, these are the type of books we get for our kids. And we're going to look at my favorite, which is a book called Where's My Shoggoth? Which is it's partly like a kid's, going to sleep story, and it's also kind of like a graphic novel made by Archaia. I don't know if they're their own. I know they merged with Boom. I don't know what the status of those companies are anymore. Oh, Uzi, we'll get to that later. So, let's start with... Oh, awesome, Zardoz. Yeah, so I really recommend this book. It is super cool. You'll see as we go through it. Also, one thing that's really neat is you can't tell at home, but it's textured, so you can actually feel a lot of the decorations. And on the back, too. You can feel all this. It's nice. And we're going to read it. Oh, it also has a mini board game in it that you can actually play. So they're bound in human skin, like the real Necronomicon. So this is Where's My Shoggoth by Adam Bolton and Ian Thomas. I'm sure this is still available on the Amazons. So it's about a little boy, and there is kitty action in the book because everything needs cats. Deluxe edition. Yeah, maybe, I don't remember. I went to feed my Shoggoth and to let him out to play. But my Shoggoth's hutch is empty. Oh, my pet has run away. I know that he'll be scared, and he'll be lonely without me. Poor Shoggoth, I must find him. Oh, this thing it should not be. Where's my Shoggoth? So see, it's got its own little hut, but it's escaped. There, you see the bones down at the bottom. So as our kids get older, we slowly have to explain more and more in the book. And this one's also really cute because on every page it's a little game of like find the cat. So here it is up on the roof. Yeah, I don't know if this is specifically based on another book, but it probably is. Most of these are. Schlup, schlop, schlup, schlop. There are sound effects as it goes creep in. What's this? Is this my Shoggoth? It has great googly eyes. Its toes have webs between them, and its heaving heavy sighs. It says it loves my sister, and would like to ask her out. So it can't have met my sister. All my sister does is shout. No, this is a deep one. This is not my Shoggoth. Where's my Shoggoth? And the joke there is that deep ones come out of the sea to mate with human females and produce more. So that's why it's interested in the little boy's sister. And the cat is gnawing on the shoggoth, or the deep one's leg right there. See, give me your sister. Flop, flop, flip, flop. And if you know your Cthulhu Mythos creatures, you might guess at what's coming up on these pages. What's this? Is this my shoggoth? It has huge flappy wings. It's a spiky anti-moly crowy baddie sort of thing. It says it wants to fly me off to look behind the moon. I bet the dark side's lovely, but it's time for supper soon. No, this is a bayaki. This is not my shoggoth. Where's my shoggoth? And again, as the bayaki is described as not quite... What is it? It's mole, vole, ant, and human, I think. I can't remember the exact thing. Where's the cat? And there's a little joke. If you look on the saddle here, it says hast air. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Schlick, snack, snick, crack. What's this? Is this my shoggoth? It's got a jar marked brains and shiny doctor's tools for prodding patients who have pains. It likes to open people up to see what makes them tick and make them much, much better, even if they're not that sick. No, this is amigo. This is not my shoggoth. Where's my shoggoth? Who is this aimed after? I don't know. Anybody who enjoys the finer things. And you see down there at the bottom, the cat has had its brain removed and is in the jar. Because that's what Migo do. Our kids like these books. Buzz, buzzuzz, biz, buzzuzz. What's this? Is this my shoggoth? It's buzzing like a bee. It's leathery and feathery, with not one mouth, but three. It's something like a pigeon that is hoping for some bread. A pigeon from beyond the stars who climbs inside your head. No, this is an insect from Shagai. This is not my shoggoth. Where's my shoggoth? This page is pretty gruesome, not gonna lie. And the cat is kind of falling down into the tub here. A little bit more gruesome there. Creak, squeak, eek, squeak. What's this? Is this my shoggoth? It's tall and gaunt and grim. It's breaking all our light bulbs, 'cause it likes it in the dim. It tries to be all serious. You'll never hear it giggle. But it loves to tickle with its tail and make its victims wriggle. No, this is a night gaunt. This is not my shoggoth. Where's my shoggoth? And then look, the boy is offering it some candy. See, it's wholesome. And it's got a feather duster because it, in the lore, night gaunts tickle people. Not like in a super fun way necessarily. Parump, harump, parump, harump. There's like music. It's hard to say. Lore. Oh, there's so much lore. What's this? Is this my shoggoth? He's black as blackest night. He's doing fun experiments and setting things alight. He loves to play the trumpet, and he's grinning all the while. But I shouldn't talk to strangers, and I just don't trust that smile. No, this is Nyarlathotep. This is not my shoggoth. Where's my shoggoth? So Nyarlathotep is one of the cool gods in the Cthulhu Mythos. You see the kitty down at the bottom there. and sometimes he appears as like a pharaoh kind of thing. Sometimes he's a giant monster. He's like a herald of some of the outer gods, depending on the depending on the version and the story. Plop, pop, plip, pop. Camera doesn't like these white pages. What's this? Is this my shoggoth? It's just behind this door. It's very old and powerful. It knows the books of lore. They say it's filled with secrets that no man is meant to know, and it's made of glowing bubbles that no man was meant to blow. No, this is Yog-Sothoth, the lurker at the threshold. This is not my shoggoth. Where's my shoggoth? So Yog-Sothoth is one of the elder gods who is basically a giant batch of bubbles. That's how he appears. It appears. Yog-Sothoth is the god of knowledge and travel through time and space. And then you have the cat in the bubble over here. Whoop. Yog-Sothoth. Who badum, he badum. Oh, and as you can see, like the art in this book is amazing. Kitty. Who badum, he badum. What's this? Is this my shoggoth? There's flutes and beating drums. It's big as 50 suns. But it is very dumb, you know, and blind as blind can be. So I'll leave it to its music, and it might not notice me. No, this is Azathoth, the demon sultan. This is not my shoggoth. Where's my shoggoth? So Azathoth is the oldest and largest and most powerful of the elder gods, but essentially it's so big, it's sort of like the driving force of the universe, so it doesn't really have a brain. Splash, splosh, splish, splosh. I mean, don't you always swipe right? What's this? Is this my shoggoth? He sleeps beneath the sea. He's bigger than a mountain, and he dreams of you and me. If he wakes up, the world will end, all life laid waste in dread. So let's just sneak off quietly and leave him tucked in bed. No, this is great Cthulhu, the spawn of the stars. This is not my shoggoth. Where's my shoggoth? And there's a cool thing they do here. So Cthulhu, if you're not familiar, Cthulhu is a alien god, essentially, who came to Earth many eons ago, had his time, died / fell asleep in his home city of Relier. Don't ask me to spell that. It sank beneath the ocean, and then one day, when the stars are right, it'll come back up. So in this one, it's kind of cool. They conflated Cthulhu with Relier, so he's like the entire city underneath the water. Sigh. But wait. What's this? Is this my shoggoth? He's bigger than a train. He wears a collar round his neck. It's green, and there's a name. He waves a tentacle at me and winks his many eyes. Oh, here he is, my shoggoth. What a wonderful surprise. My shoggoth's name is Blinky, and I give a great huzzah. We'll walk together through the dark and play amongst the stars. We'll crush the denizens of earth, the folk of sky and sea. And then we'll come back home, and I'll have buttered scones for tea. So we have this awesome shoggoth on the side of his house. And then they sit down for tea. And yeah, the kid is a little bit evil looking there on the last page. And the poor kitty is about to go down the gullet. Yeah, of course it ate the cat. So yeah. I really like that book. I like the art. And then, yeah, they go off on their little adventures. I try not to make the reading at the end too dark for the kids, but it's pretty good stuff. So that is where's my shoggoth? What is a shoggoth? You might be asking if you're not familiar. Shoggoths are from the story At the Mountains of Madness. You may have heard references to this novella. It's very, very famous. And it's about an expedition to Antarctica where they find an alien city in the mountains. And there they find remnants of creatures who lived, millions of years ago. The elder things. I should have brought out some of the... I have toys and statues of all these things. But they're these really bizarre creatures. Their main body is like a barrel. Then they have wings. They have a bunch of eyes, a bunch of feet. And... oh, Cameron, that's cool. Yeah, it's a great story. And they find a bunch of those, and they're dead, or are they? But it turns out that they harnessed these creatures called shoggoths, tripping over that in my mouth, to build their city. And shoggoths are these gigantic, horrific, amorphous creatures that can extend tentacles and pseudopods, and they have many eyes and mouths, and they just sort of roil around and eat everything in their wake. So that is... Where's my shoggoth? Now, you're probably... Most of you, I imagine, are familiar with Where the Wild Things Are. A book that I never really liked. Whatever. But this is obviously a Cthulhu Mythos parody called Where the Deep Ones Are, referencing specifically the story The Shadow over Innsmouth, which is, again, a book I highly recommend. Yeah, Solkatu, the thing takes a lot of inspiration from At the Mountains of Madness. A lot of things do. That there are references to that throughout all sorts of stuff. I was just watching something that had references to it, but... Oh, it was Godzilla vs. Kong. Not spoilers, because it's a totally meaningless part of the movie, but when they pick up their scientist to figure out inside of the Earth stuff, he talks about this expedition to Antarctica that went horribly wrong, and they encountered some things, and they didn't put in any further references to At the Mountains of Madness. And I was very much surprised that they didn't at least have like one of the names or something to be somewhat of a connection, because it seemed really obvious. But oh well. Yes, the thing that we all think of, that movie, is not the first version of that. So this is Where the Deep Ones Are, by a whole bunch of people. From Atlas Games is the publisher of this one. When Bobby would yell for seconds on fish, and thirds. And so it has the same format of the text as Where the Wild Things Are, which is weird. It's an odd thing. His mother said his big mouth would give him brain fever like his cousin Larry Marsh, and how would he like that? And Bobby said, just fine. And his mother sent him to his room without any fish at all. That night in Bobby's room, he heard rushing water, and it got louder and louder until it washed away his walls. And a river ran right through his room, carrying an old boat, barely dry, just for Bobby. And he sailed down the river and under wooden bridges and past tumbled walls to Innsmouth. Innsmouth smelled a lot like fish, and it even had a fish on the church. But when Bobby tried to go there, an old man told him, "No, that's where the deep ones are." The deep ones never die. They came from the South Seas with Captain Marsh and took over the church. And they gave Deep One gold to all the pretty girls in town, and took them dancing under the ocean in a wild rumpus. And nobody ever saw the girls again. So again, some of the things that we kind of leave out the details when we're reading these to our children. How they took the ladies for a wild rumpus. Bobby said, "My cousin's name is Larry Marsh." And after that, the old man got scared and wouldn't talk to Bobby anymore. There's the scared, drunk old man running away from Bobby. Funny. He's related to somebody with the last name. But Bobby still smelled fish, so he went to the hotel for dinner. The bread was bad, and the soup was bad, and even the water was bad. But there was plenty of fish. Bobby ate so much he got sleepy and slow, and then the Deep Ones came for him. So Bobby, lots of fish everywhere. And then we have the waiters with the Innsmouth look, as it's called. The Deep Ones croaked their terrible croaks, and smacked their terrible lips, and rolled their terrible eyes, and waved their terrible flippers. Yikes. It's kind of scary. And Bobby ran out of the hotel, and through Elliott Street, and down Bates Street, and across Fall Street, and even past Devil's Reef. And just when Bobby thought he was lost for good, he found the river. Run away, Bobby, run away! But he found the river and the boats. Bobby jumped in the old boat and sailed up the river and past tumbled walls and under wooden bridges and back into his very own room. But he was still hungry for fish. So Bobby thought he might go visit his cousin Larry Marsh and find another old boat. And they would sail under the wooden bridges and past the tumbled walls and back down to Innsmouth. Jailbreak! And the Deep Ones would call him the most deep one of all, and crown him with Deep One gold, and make him king of all the Deep Ones. And he would dance with the pretty girls of Innsmouth under the ocean in a wild rumpus, and never die. I want to dance with all the pretty girls in a wild rumpus. And he would eat all the fish he wanted, and anything else, too. And so you see they have taken over the world. And we wonder why Benjamin is such a megalomaniacal little kid. So yeah. In the original Mythos stories, the Deep Ones are creatures that live under the sea. They worship Cthulhu. They even swim down into R'lyeh and they kind of hang out with Cthulhu. And they interbreed with humans to create more Deep Ones. And half-breed creatures that start off as human-looking and can live in human society. But then eventually the Innsmouth look comes over them and they need to go. Yes, Zardoz, very good point. There's a they hang out with Cthulhu, but yeah, they worship. They have gods. They're sort of like demigods. Dagon and Hydra are the father and mother of the Deep Ones. They're like the oldest and largest of the Deep Ones. And yes, there's a movie called Dagon, which is a movie basically of this story, and it's fucking fantastic. It is very much classified as a B movie. Or less, but it is actually really good. It's been a while since I saw it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Cameron. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, maybe we'll do a watch along of that one day because that would be super cool. So that is where the deep ones are. And then, like I said, we have some ABC books, which are always really fun. Not gonna lie, I have some ABC books that I'm working on, or thinking about working on, because I think they're really fun and can be really cute to do. He's also one of his favorite songs, or one of your favorite songs of his is called "Fuck 'Em." That's good. Yeah, there are a lot of these things out there, like books that are modeled off after real kids' books, but then with a decidedly different take. So let's look at this one. Is super cute, Monster ABC. And you'll see in these, some of them are specifically like, this is for kids. It's cute. It's got cute art. It's really silly. Other ones of these books, more for the adults. So this one says, some monsters seem spooky when seen at first glance, but who knows if they're scary if we don't give them a chance. And it always helps to have a million ABC books around, because inevitably your kids are not going to like this one or not going to like that one and not want to do this, and you got to teach them their goddamn ABCs. A is for alien. Whoa, this way. Hold on. A is for alien, from way out of town. B is for banshee, who won't quiet down. This is a series, and there's a book that's all about banshees, and it's a counting book, and it's freaking adorable. C is for chupacabra, with a lot to digest. D is for demon, who can be such a pest. So these are kind of like generic monsters, not specifically from anything so far, at least. E is for enchantress, with powers so grand. F is for Frankenstein's monster, crafted by hand. G is for ghost, who gave us a start. H is for hobgoblin, who smells like a fart. Stinky, stinky hobgoblins. I is for imp, who likes to play tricks. J is for Jersey Devil, who lives in the sticks. So we've got some American cryptids in here. K is for Krampus, on the naughty list. L is for Loch Ness Monster, who's sure he exists. That's racist toward hobgoblins. Fuck hobgoblins. M is for mummy wrapped up like a gift. N is for necromancer on the graveyard shift. Velvet Cyberpunk, thank you so much for the resubscription. I appreciate it. O is for ogre with an awful stink eye. P is for Pumpkinhead, a very bright guy. Pumpkinhead, another good movie. Q is for Quetzalcoatl, always easy to spot. R is for Reaper, if you're ready or not. S is for Sasquatch, who lives in the nude. T is for Troll, with comments so rude. U is for Undead, with a new lifespan. V is for Vampire, the original Batman. Yeah, the troll thing is pretty cute. And again, you have to teach kids about trolls these days. W is for werewolf, half man and half mutt. X is for Xing Chan, who thinks with his gut. I admit I do not know exactly what this creature is, but it looks very interesting. I always, when I read this book, I always think, damn it, I should look that up. And then I always forget to actually do that. So if anybody wants to look that up and see what it is and where exactly what culture it comes from, that'd be great. Y is for Yeti, who's quite hard to find. Z is for zombie, with your brain on his mind. So yeah, that one's cute. We like that one. Now you can see monsters aren't really so bad. It's hard to be scared when you're laughing like mad. Although again, he's got the freaking Grim Reaper coming up to him. I don't know if I'd be laughing in that case. But see, even the Reaper is a Chinese god. Oh, a Chinese god. Okay, cool. I did not know that. Xenomorph denied. So then we have C is for Cthulhu, which is a little bit more targeted for adults. It's sort of a mix. So that one was definitely mostly for kids. Obviously, there's some adult jokes in there with the trolls, things like that. But this one gets more into adult stuff. A Chinese deity who fights against the supreme divinity, not giving up even after the event of his decapitation. Cool. Thanks, Letsonizer. So we have C is for Cthulhu. Now, this one is very specifically from the Cthulhu Mythos. So it's going to be all characters from He Who We Don't Name, but then the other people who, again, picked up after his write-in. A is for Abdul al-Hazred. I wrote this little book. Abdul al-Hazred is the author of the Necronomicon. It was recited to him by demons, and he wrote it out. And then he was torn apart by said demons in front of his house in Damascus, according to the legends. B is for the black goat of the woods with 1,000 young. Bah! The black goat of the woods with 1,000 young is the goddess known as Shub-niggurath. Kind of a tough name to make sure you get it right. So they went with her epithet, black goat of the woods. C is for Cthulhu. In his house at Relier, red Cthulhu waits dreaming instead of dread or dead Cthulhu. Usually refers to him as dead, but he's red this time. Why not? D is for deep ones. What lives in Yahanathle under the sea. We have cute, chubby deep ones. See you, Hudsonizer. Thanks for hanging out. E is for eldritch, ancient and weird. F is for fear, that cold feeling in your stomach. Ooh. G is for ghouls. We're so much worse than zombies. H is for Hastur. Oh no, you said it! Hastur, if you're not familiar, is another sort of on the level god as Cthulhu. Lives in Aldebaran, which is a star that we can see. Well, lives in Carcosa, which is on or near Aldebaran. And the gimmick with him is that if you say his name, then he hears you and he comes and annihilates you, drives you crazy, takes you over. And so there are lots and lots of jokes in these kinds of books about don't say his name. And yes, there's the King in Yellow is a play that if you perform that play, it also makes everybody go crazy. And yeah, it's good stuff. I is for Innsmouth. The people here have a look about them. And again, Innsmouth is where everybody is turning into deep ones. J is for John Raymond LaGrasse. Cultists. Why'd it have to be cultists? In the Call of Cthulhu story, Legrasse is one of the people who's investigating the stories and the connections between Cthulhu and all these weird events that are going on in the world. Hey, Erdinsk, welcome back. K is for Kunyan. Is it hot down here, or am I crazy? One of the many different realms that people can end up in. If you hear in the background, the cat is going wild. L, well, we'll just skip L in this book. M is for Miskatonic University, sculpting young minds since 1770. In this universe, Miskatonic University is sort of the Harvard, but it focuses on... Oh, L is just for actual Lovecraft, so that's all. It's not bad, but it's just, yeah. Miskatonic University, though, is really cool. So many references to Miskatonic University in other things. I think our favorite one, for a while, my wife and I were really into Japanese horror movies. This was many, many years ago. Man, I'm trying to think. Movies, it was like Meatball Machine and Tokyo Gore Squad. There were a whole string of them, but one of them we started watching, and it was about this girl who worked, or she was doing, there was something with trains, and she went on a train, and she was a student, and she dropped her books, and then the camera follows her down as she's picking up her books, and then like very obviously written on her books were Miskatonic University, and it was such a cool random element. The movie was not, Cthulhu Mythos related at all, but it just had that Miskatonic University thing in there. It was neat. Yeah, lots of nerds out there have Miskatonic University branded everything. It's a cool thing. The famous class that you take there and what they specialize is non-Euclidean geometry. I think I got that right. N is for the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead. And despite what people might tell you, the Necronomicon is a wholly made-up thing, not to be confused with some people confuse it with the Egyptian Book of the Names of the Dead, which is a thing, but it's totally different. So like this is just a piece of crap that people wrote. I mean, a lot of it is just like words. There are a bunch of pictures. It's silly, it's fun, but this isn't like an ancient thing that somebody found. O is for the old ones. These things look wicked old. And those are actually the elder things from At the Mountains of Madness. P is for Providence. With a really chibi, cute Cthulhu. Q is for Kithaz. Don't worry, she doesn't bite. And I will admit, I do not know what this one is. There are, like I said, the Cthulhu mythos has extended far beyond its original creator. Lots of other people writing, adding to it, adding all sorts of gods and creatures and everything else. R is for Relier. Travel packages start at the low, low price of your sanity. And again, you've got the geometry that doesn't make sense, and just looking at it will drive you insane. S is for Shoggoth. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Burp. T is for the Tiara of Dagon. Who wants to play princess? U is for the unnameable. Unnameable, yes. Unlovable, no. Aw, and it's so cute. V is for the vigilant. Sure to be the voyage of a lifetime. Another reference to the Call of Cthulhu story. W is for the witch house. we have a small rodent problem. That creature down there is Brown Jenkin. It's a whole long story. It's like a rat with a face and hands, essentially. X is for Xurn. Penny for your soul. Another creature. I don't know exactly what that one is, but it sure looks cool. Y is for Yog-sothoth. I see all. Just like Santa. Alright. Z is for zombies. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did the ghouls say? Remember the ghouls said that they're way scarier than zombies? It's a callback joke. Get it? I think it's cute. All of this stuff reminds me. So there is an outfit that's located here in Los Angeles. It's called the... Again, like the name has gone out of style, but it's the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society. And it's a bunch of nerds, and they started off as a LARPing group. So they would have these crazy adventures where they would dress up in 1920s gear and have characters and go around to different parts of Los Angeles and do all these silly things. And then as time went on, hey, Rabbit Wombat, they started producing things. They started sort of mass producing props that they would use for their incredible games that other people could buy. So, paperwork that looked like it was from that era. Driver's licenses, forms, and patches and badges and just stuff. And then they're like, well, we can also make clothing and accessories and blah, 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 blah. So they have I don't even know if they're still around. I haven't checked recently. But they had a massive catalog of just interesting things that they made. And then they got more popular, and then they made some of their own movies, and they made a bunch of radio plays, and then they made music albums, and it's a lot of it is really, really good. They did a Call of Cthulhu movie. They made a silent movie, and it is fantastic. It's a short movie. I can't remember how long it is, but it's rad. It's the story from that one's a short story, I think, technically. It's super cool. The effects in it are amazing. There's a part where people are climbing up, again, one of these like non-Euclidean geometry things, and somebody takes a step and then falls through because you don't realize, and it's like it's wild. Super, super cool. I'm a big fan of theirs for that stuff. And then, like I said, they put out some holiday music albums. They've done 2, and it's a very shoot, I can't remember the name of it. Something Solstice. Scary Solstice. So it's a very scary solstice, and then an even scarier solstice, something like that. If you go on their website, you can find all these things. But it's every Christmas, and there are a couple of Hanukkah songs, but there aren't that many Hanukkah songs. But all the lyrics are changed to Cthulhu Mythos related stuff, and they are so good. I sing those songs to myself throughout the year all the time. Chris gets mad because I'm basically singing Christmas carols, and it's ridiculous because why would I be singing Christmas carols? But and like they got really, really good singers on those, and they're really well produced. One year, many, many years ago, right after we moved here to Burbank, like I said, this organization is local, and they put on a holiday sing-along at a little theater here in Burbank that we went to, and it was just a super rad event. I'll never forget it. And then they also did an album that was based on a fictional musical that existed in the 90s called A Shoggoth on the Roof. So it's all of the music to A Fiddler on the Roof, but mythos related. And the music is great. We have that album too that we listen to all the time. And they made a 30-minute documentary about trying to find that original musical, and they have like some real actors in it. Super good stuff. Like if you if you're into Cthulhu Mythos things at all, I highly recommend checking out their stuff. It's great. Very, very catchy songs that you'll sing for the rest of your life. And then there's Baby's First Mythos, still with X. So there is an X in here. And this is from another game company. It's from Z-Man Games. I have no idea what else they produce. But Z-Man Games. They have a lot of blurbs on the back, which is cool. It's tough to get blurbs for books. Now this one is much more specifically for adults. Caveat lector, beware the reader. Recitation of these passages has been known to drive impressionable children to the very brink of suicidal madness and despair and beyond. Oh, Z-Man is behind Pandemic. Cool. So this is the Eldritch alphabet. A is for Azathoth, who dwells in the center, dreaming us from a place that we cannot enter. B is for Bayaki, an interstellar race that often serves Hastur. Summoned from the sky, into space they will fly, and if you shout, "Ya, ya!" they'll go faster. And again, Bayakis are sort of like mixed up creatures with lots of different elements to them. C is for Cthulhu, who lies in Relie a-dreaming, one sight of whom leaves most gibbering, drooling, or screaming. I like his butt. Give me some of that Cthulhu butt. D is for Dagon, because he's one of the gods, and not for the deep ones, who are just one step up from frogs. E is for the elder gods, about whom not much is known, save that when the stars align and the seals are broken, they probably won't answer the phone. Some of the rhymes in these are better than others. You can't win them all. I know. Oh, we need a line about Cthulhu and his cheeks clapping and waking everybody up when when the stars are right. F is for the faceless god, or Nyarlathotep by name, the soul and messenger of the outer gods, who always seems to have mischief on the brain. G is for Golgoroth, who lives where it's cold as December, who is worshipped by Shantax, but is also forgotten for reasons I cannot remember. Shantax are like space whales. H is for Odd Herbert West, who revived the dead with his potions, it's said playing with aliens, and making a zombie of Jesus were just two of his interesting notions.
No.
I is for Innsmouth, a hell of a town, where the people wear gold and are quite hard to drown. J is for Gustaf Johansen, a sailor from Oslo most sorely tried, who survived pirates, Relie, and even great Cthulhu, then was hit by a bundle of papers and died. Again, from Call of Cthulhu. K is for Kadath, the home of the gods of earth, which has killed every visitor, save for the dreaming Randolph Carter, and thus is not overly known for its mirth. From the dream quest of something Kadath. We'll skip L again. M is for Miskatonic University, an Ivy League school over 200 years old, housing the largest occult collection in the Western world, and the most varied alumni, I'm told. N is for Necronomicon, that horrid flesh-bound book of magic, the reading of which by mere mortals brings their damned souls to ends both terrifying and tragic. Do not read from the Necronomicon. Or if you read from it, at least don't read it out loud. O is for the old ones, known as the elder things, just a terrible, terrible spawn who contact humans only through possession and simply just cannot be drawn. So. Yeah, and again, like I said, the elder things are, if you read the... So Lovecraft likes to really dive into these wild descriptions of characters and creatures and monsters, and if you try to actually capture all of those details, it's impossible. So that's kind of a joke on that. And the descriptions are like pages long with all of these adjectives and different body parts. P is for Pickman, the artist, the one both infamous and quite renowned, a ghoul in the end and not much of a friend, but ultimately as daring a painter as can be found. Pickman's Model is a really neat little short story about a an artist who captures a creature and imprisons it so he can paint it. Q is for Kith-Az, the great and wise crystalline old one who will turn your planet to glass hard as granite. Certainly no one's prescription for fun. Yes, incomprehensible. R is for Relier, whose buildings are fit together in a non-Euclidean fashion. It's a wondrous sight, inspiring both awe and fright, and no end of murderous passion. And yeah, that's how you spell it. R''Lyeh. Most people pronounce it Relier, but in the writing, especially when it comes to Cthulhu, the text actually says that these names are not meant to be pronounced by mortals. So trip over it, make up your own version, it's all good. If anybody tells you, no, that's not how it's pronounced, you can tell them I said, fuck you, because they're not supposed to be pronounced. You can pronounce it however you want. S is for shub-nigguraths, those shapeless congeries of protoplasmic bubbles who crush, devour, and kill, all just for a thrill, and who have caused, oh, just no end of troubles. T is for the hounds of Tyndalos, who appear through angles in many a form, to destroy all attempting to travel through time and to feast on the remains while still warm. One of the cooler creations, the Hounds of Tyndalos, they're on the lookout for any time travelers, and they follow after them. You may have seen references to these in other like time travel stories, but the neat thing about them is that traditionally they can only appear and enter our reality when there is an angle, wherever there is an acute angle. That's the only way they can enter. So if you have, well, first of all, if your structure, if your building is all perfectly right angles or obtuse angles, then you're safe. But any acute angle, they can enter our dimension and tear you to shreds. U is for Ub, the father of worms, a burrower extraordinaire who breathes sulfides among its anatomical traits and assisted Xanthu in the destruction of Mu. I don't know what story that's all from. A lot of information there. V is for Friedrich Wilhelm von Junz, un ausbrechtlichen Kultens author, a noted explorer and a hell of a guy, killed in a locked room and left on the floor. The Necronomicon is not the only eldritch tome in this world. The unausprechlichen Kulten, I don't speak German, so forgive me. That's another one of the books. W is for the Whateleys, a strange and mysterious clan, witches and wizards and eaters of gizzards, from whom every sane person just up and ran. The antagonists of the story, oh shoot, which one is... Oh, okay, my story's mixed up. I can't remember. It's another place name story. Wow, that's a bummer. I'll have to look it up later. X is for Zultan, a magician in a city most hated. Both are long gone and forgotten. Such interest in them has quite abated. Well, thank you, Velvet Cyberbug. Y is for the Migo homeworld Yuggoth, where they built the shining trapezohedron, and where both Glocky and Ran Tegoth vacationed while on their separate ways to Earth and beyond. So in the mythos, Pluto is actually the planet known as Yuggoth, and it's a way station for extra-dimensional and extrasolar entities. And then last we have Z is for Anton Zarnak. Psychic sleuth is his general task. His residence is 13 China Alley, or at least it will be in the past. Time travel shenanigans. And then this one has a bonus. It has numbers. 1 is for Nyarlathotep, for he's the god of 1,000 faces. I have a statue that is inspired by this thing with the weird head and mouth. It's very large and very heavy and in the other room. But I'll share a picture. 2 is for Mother Hydra and Father Dagon, the largest beings of their race. So those are the Deep One gods. 3 is for the Azathi, the surviving children of Azathoth. 4 is for the Night Gaunts, who abandon victims in the Vale of Panath. 5 is for the Shantax, whose cries make quite a din. Again, they're kind of like space whales sometimes. 6 is for the Ghasts, who live in the vaults of Zin. 7 is for the crafty Migo, those miners from outer space. 8 is for the horrible ghouls, the degenerate cannibal race. Remind me to talk about Migo in a minute. 9 is for the great ones, the gods of earth who live in Kadath. And 0 is the sum of all hope of our surviving such eldritch math. Womp womp. We're all gonna die. Oh, and then there's more. 1 little old one sitting in a tree. 2 little old ones can cause the town to flee. 3 little old ones bring the world to doom. 4 little old ones make the universe a tomb. That's it. I guess they gave up after 4. Migo are creatures, again, who live on Yuggoth, which is Pluto. And they're another one of these creatures that's just described in, like, endless terms. They have kind of a insectoid body, but then they have crustacean-like claws, and instead of a head, it's a spongy fungus mass instead of a brain, and they have wings, and sometimes they have a stinger. All this silly stuff. They're mainly known from the story The Whisperer in the Darkness, I think it's called. Great story, and yeah. But they come to Earth, and they cut open people and take out their brains, and put them in jars, and do all sorts of horrible things with them. The children are almost asleep, and then we will switch over to the limericks. So yeah, there are, if you, not quite asleep, but almost. If you're a geek, there are so many geeky kids things out there, whether it's ABC books or, storybooks, this and that, and it helps to keep you interested while you're reading, droning on endlessly to your children, and hopefully eventually getting them to read. So in this Necronomicon, from Avon Books, no less. Let's see. Yeah, and it just has Ooh, that's interesting. So it starts off with acknowledgments. And again, everything in this is BS. The editor would like to thank all of the people whose cooperation and dedication to unspeakable horrors had made this book possible. They read off a bunch of people. I don't know if any of these people are real. Fifth to Mr. L.K. Barnes, who dared to tempt the awesome wrath of the Ancient Ones, risking unspeakable eldritch horrors in supporting the publication of this arcane treatise. Sixth, to all those patient pagans and friends of the craft who waited and waited for the eventual publication of this tome with bated breath and something on the stove. Blah, 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 blah. And then it says, and finally, to the demon Perdurabo, without whose help the presentation of this book would have been impossible. If you're a Warhammer player, you'll know Perturabo, the Primarch who did become a demon, but this says Perdurabo. I never noticed that before. Slokatu. You'll have to get some, and then you can bring them and give them to him. I fear reading no book. And again, like, there's a preface to the second edition. There's a lot of BS in this book. I mean, you could really, if you were LARPing, you could actually use this because there's just so much like in-universe nonsense to it. It's got a big introduction. There's a lot of stuff about Crowley in here. It goes through Abdul al-Hazred writing the original Necronomicon, and then how this came through Sumerian. Ugh. There's some biblical stuff that they stuck in here, and then there's just a bunch of like random other mythologies that they've put together. A lot of the devil, Pazuzu, Tiamat, Marduk. They're just, again, just smashing stuff together. Come on. Yes. Okay, so then there are the spells, which you can see some of them are in English, some of them are just in gibberish. Just to make it cool sounding if you read it out loud. Like the conjuration, the binding of the evil sorcerers. Alsi ku nushi ilani mushtisi, iti kunu alsi mushitum. I mean, you can imagine doing this in like a LARPing. You could LARP with this. The conjuration Zilqua, Zilka, Bessa, or a most excellent charm against the hordes of demons. This one's nice. Arise, arise, go far away, be shamed, flee, turn around, go, arise and go far away. Your wickedness may rise to heaven like unto smoke. Arise and leave my body, from my body depart in shame, from my body flee, turn away from my body, go away from my body, do not return to my body, do not come near my body, do not approach my body, do not throng around my body. Be commanded by Shamash the Mighty, be commanded by Enki, Lord of all, be commanded by Marduk, the great magician of the gods, be commanded by the god of fire, your destroyer. May you be held back from my body. And then you can do it in some other made-up language. So there's a lot about like that. Banishings. Read this section carefully. Because first you need to know how to banish shit before you summon shit. Very important. And that, even all that is like preamble before you actually get to the Necronomicon. The testimony. And again, it's all just made up stuff. It's fun. I read through all of this once. It was a freaking chore. But they do give you some cool symbols, again, that you could write down for your games. Yeah, Patty, it's everything. Surprisingly, this book is very dense with words. Now it's talking about all the sigils and the symbols and what they do. And if moonlight hits it, and where you put them, and it's mixed in with stories, again, as though it was written by ancient people. Yeah, and then all of these symbols and gods and seals and what they do and what you can use them for. Exactly, Solkatu. Don't let those things out. The Book of Entrance and of the Walk-In. So here are the spells to open the gates and get knowledge that mankind was not meant to have. Yeah, I got this book at Borders. You know, where you generally go for your unspeakable tomes. Borders. Well, back when it existed. The Invocation of All the Gates. Oh, yeah, Patty, 100%. And again, like, you know, for LARPing. This one has the Invocation of the Nurgle Gate. Now it is spelled Nergal, Nurgle, instead of the Warhammer Nurgle. Yeah. Conjuration of the Fire God. Conjuration of the Watcher. Book of Calling. So it's, you know, it's silly stuff. They do pack in a lot of Mesopotamian mythology, which I imagine most people wouldn't recognize, but that's in there. Ooh, the Great Conjuration of All the Powers. Let's do that one. Spirit of the sky, remember. Spirit of the earth, remember. Spirits, Lord of the earth, remember. Spirits, ladies of the earth, remember. Oh, we're egalitarian here. Spirits, lords of the air, remember. Spirits, ladies of the air, remember. Oh my god, it just goes forever. Spirits, lords of the fire. Spirits, lords of the water. Spirits, lords of the stars. Lords of all hostilities. Lords of all peacefulness. Lords of the veil of shadows. Lords of the light of life. Lords of the infernal regions. Lords of the lords of Marduk. Okay. Lords of sin, who maketh his ship cross the river. Lords of Shamash, king of the elder ones. Ladies of Shamash Gula, queen of the elder ones. Ooh, so now we have different male and female aspects. Lords of Chku, lord of the Anunnaki, remember. Ladies of the goddess Ziku, mother of Enki. Lords of Ninnasu, our father of the numerous waters. Ladies of Ninua, daughter of Enki. Lords of Ningizinda, who upheaves the face of the earth. Ladies of Ninisi Anna, queen of heaven. Lords and ladies of the fire, Gibel, ruler supreme on the face of the earth. Spirits of the seven doors of the world, remember. Spirits of the seven locks of the world, remember. Spirit Kuspi Kuru, wife of Namtar, remember. Spirit Kitim Kuruku, daughter of the oceans, remember. Spirit of the sky, remember. Spirit of the earth, remember. Amanu, Amanu, Amanu! There you go. Here endeth the great conjuration. Tells you what spirits to call, depending on what you want to do. Things that you can make. Oh, Solkatu, I got so many D&D books and Star Wars role-playing game books and yeah, so many things at Borders. Good times. Well, they used to have... Borders pioneered one of the best loyalty programs that any store has ever done. Because if you signed up for their... It was like emails or something with coupons, but they would send you like at least once a month, they'd send you like a 20% off thing. And that was a good discount at the time. This was, you know, pre-Amazon when you could get books for freaking pennies on the dollar. But yeah, I bought a lot of D&D miniatures at Borders. Good stuff. Yeah, and again, just like so many more of these kind of things. Yeah, so Kato, I had to reach down and make sure I could kick the the camera stand. So yeah, that's the Necronomicon for you. There are actually real life books of scholarship about the lore of the Necronomicon and how it feeds into this like really ancient idea of forbidden knowledge and how forbidden knowledge gets passed down and who can access it and when and where and all this kind of stuff. I have a book on that somewhere, which is pretty cool. But again, this is all just bullshit.